You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Welcome back to Pro Booth Talk. Lap.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again.
So everyone that's on YouTube, I'm sure is noticing Lap's looking different. Did you get a haircut? What's going on? Straighten your hair? Something's going on. I mean, you're different every day.
My hair is so long. My hair is so long. I have not gotten a haircut. It's probably just super straight, blow dried, styled, combed. I combed my hair today.
So taping like Lap is kind of the subject today. Not really, but that's the kickoff point. Lap has brought up on numerous occasions how critical gaff tape and taping correctly is. And I think it's a good spot to just launch onto, like, we're defined by our details. There's a quote that I absolutely love. And let me switch screens here so I can see who said that real quick so I can give proper credit. Let me see. So is that Martha Beck, it looks like? How you do anything is how you do everything. And I think it's really true. Like, you can't be really good business at your photo booth business if you take shortcuts in some areas. I think people who do things well do most things well. I mean, not to say that we're masters at everything, but we put the same amount of passion and try to do things as well as everything that we do. Not saying that you need to be as skilled, but the same, I guess passion is the right way to say it.
Yeah, passionate about what you do.
Yeah. So how you put your gaff tape down truly reflects on how you run your photo booth business. Essentially, is what I'm getting at.
That sounds so crazy. But when I first started, I used to think gaff was not a big deal. I had a DJ that approached me during a wedding once and was like, "Why are you guys gaffing like that?" I got so offended. I was like, "Why is this guy criticizing the tape on the floor?" This was early in my career, and I didn't comprehend how small details matter. Small details like gaff. You guys hear me bring it up a lot because I never realized what a big deal those small details are, because you think nobody notices, but people do notice. And it does change the presentation that your company, the presentation for your company it's so different, just something as small as gas.
Yes. And you're right. Like, a lot of times people won't notice the things that you do, but they will notice the things that you don't do, so it's like,
You saying that right? Cause I feel,
well, sometimes they will, but I mean, a lot of times you don't want them to notice that you gaffed correctly. Cause if you gaffed correctly, they're not going to notice the gaff. It's going to disappear.
Yes.
So they don't notice the things that you do correctly, but they will notice the things that you don't do. So if you gaff poorly, they will notice it and they will take note of it. You follow me? So, for example, sometimes like when my wife's dieting and people say, "Oh, you don't need to diet," and her response is always, "Well, if you feel like I need to diet, then I've already waited too long." So it's just a matter of staying healthy. And sometimes my wife will like get her lashes done, but she's always getting her lashes done, and she'll mention that I didn't notice that she got her lashes done, but I would notice if she didn't get lashes done.
Yeah.
So it's the consistency of looking great and doing the things the same way. So if your prop table is clean, someone that's not if I see a clean prop table, I'll be like, "Wow, your prop table's so clean." But someone in the industry may not respect that. They just expect it. But if your prop table's a mess and props are falling on the floor, they will notice those things. So it sucks that our efforts aren't always noticed, but know that if you don't put those efforts in, that will be noticed negatively.
It's also like a subconscious thing too, because when I upgraded my boost to men boost, they're all very like clean, very minimalist. I started getting messages from people like, "Oh my gosh, like, why is this setup not like your setup?" And people don't even like register. Like, I've had clients that will tell me like, "Your setup is just so clean." They have no idea what it is. And it's those small details, like paying attention to like right hand corners on your gaff and like making sure your wires aren't. They don't really know why your setup looks better. They just know that it does. That's probably one of the takeaways that I've gotten because I used to have like wires when I first started. I used to have like wires hanging out. I never used to gaff when I was, oh my God, I'm sorry, you guys. It was like 13, 14 years ago. So I had no idea the importance of this stuff. Like I didn't have a proper printer table all the time. I just had them like drop one of those temporary plastic tables that we throw like a table cover over. It's not necessarily that that's ugly. It's just it's not as clean as the manufactured printer tables that we have now. But I noticed that like I started consistently getting messages at least like every week, like, oh my gosh, your setup, I don't know what it is. It's amazing. So people don't even register why your setup looks different. And it's very small things, the type of booth you're using, type of gaff, how you're gaffing, how your table looks, where you're setting up, like small things like aligning your photo booth centered to the wall. Stuff like that all matters. But gaff is like the biggest one because I don't know, it's something you don't think about, but man, when it's not done neat, that's the first thing my eyes go to. And I'm sure like like your planners, your DJ, the DJ that criticized my gaff, I mean, like that's just one DJ. You imagine all the other vendors are noticing things like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you haven't always gaffed that way, and that's great because people can change. Don't feel like you're going to, oh shit, my setup isn't as nice. Habits are you can create your own habits, good and bad though. If you start taking shortcuts and doing things half-assed just because you want to rush and get ready and nothing goes wrong, or
save money because you want to save money,
and nothing goes wrong, you're going to take that shortcut again. And you're going to take that shortcut again, and I've got. Just remind me of kind of a sidebar story. I've got a buddy that used to own a pizza place, and it was like one of the best pizza places in Las Vegas, and everybody loved it. And at one point, they couldn't sustain it because you still have to be competitive in price. So they tried and said, okay, let's downgrade this cheese or this oil a little bit. It'll save us some money and see how it tastes. The taste is different, and the taste difference wasn't that noticeable, and people didn't mind. So then, after a few months or years, they said, okay, what about these vegetables? And, the taste difference from product B to C wasn't that great. And then from C to D wasn't that great. But eventually the product from A to D or A to L was significantly different. So over time, their pizza got so downgraded that they weren't the best anymore. And they eventually went out of business. And we reflected on that over lunch one day, that they realized that like just through trying to save money, and they would always just compare their last model to their most recent one and not.
Yeah.
And they kind of lost sight of where they started. And it's the same thing. If you take shortcuts and nothing negative happens, then you'll build that shortcut into your workflow, and then you'll take more workflows, and it'll just compound on top of each other. So I mean, those little things matter. Do things well. So attention to detail, also procrastination, like waiting till the last minute. I am definitely like a huge procrastinator. Laugh, I both. And I hate it about myself. I try not to, but the more things that you put off, obviously, the less time you have to correct errors. And that's just, I have such a hard time with just finishing a product. I'll get like 95% done. And then, the bulk of it's done. So let me start my next project. I could finish the last 5% at any time. And that's a big problem that I've got.
Then you end up with like 8 projects.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of times that I'm scrambling to order a custom backdrop or, whatever, because I keep putting it off and then realize, oh my God, it's Chinese New Year right now and I can't get a backdrop for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So just make it a habit to get things done when they get on your plate. Take care of them. Procrastination, man, let's work on that together. But I mean, that helps you just be prepared, obviously. But the small details.
Change the procrastination part though, because I have my 2 kids, and so I balance my time. We talked about how we're gonna do an episode about that.
Yeah, and I don't really have any excuses. I mean, I wear a lot of hats and I do a lot of things around here, but so do you. And I don't have 2 kids at home. All my kids are grown, and I miss my dog during the day, and my office won't allow me to bring her here. They have a strict no dog policy, which is heartbreaking.
Oh no, that
but
sucks.
Other than that, my wife's amazing, and she helps balance the house out, and kids are grown.
And we're gonna have a whole episode about that.
Yes,
but
it's coming.
I wanted to touch on the whole gap thing. Like one of the things that I noticed, a lot of my team members, when they're onboarding with me, I stress how to gaff properly. Like I'm rarely on site, but I'm on site training them how to gaff multiple times. And I've had several team members tell me months later, they'll come back at me You know, like they do an event and they saw another company and they're like, oh my gosh, Lap, look at their gaff. And they tell me when they first started with me that first week and I was stressing gaff to them, they thought I was like very extra, very like ridiculous for caring about gaff. But like through the months of working events, they started to realize like how important your presentation is. It's not just the gaff, it's the presentation. So now when we do events, they can't help but notice when people have like wires hanging around or when the gaff is straight or presentation doesn't look great. Like they know the difference now between it's just like if you talk to someone off the street and you talk to them about like a photo booth, they just see a photo booth. We all kind of look the same to them. You know, like if you ask one of your family members, our photo booth doesn't really look that much different than like someone off Craigslist. I want to reference Craigslist again. But when you start, again, it's subtle. When they start seeing your photo booth consistently at events, I've had like family and friends, because I post, you know, my setup shots on my Facebook where I'm very active. So like my family and my friends, extended acquaintances, they see the setups and I constantly get messages like, oh, we were at a party. They had this photo booth and like the back was exposed, the wires were exposed, and I just kept thinking about your photo booth and how quick. So people pay attention. They're not saying anything, but they're watching you. They're watching your company. They're watching your events. You know, like I don't get a lot of comments or reactions to, you know, the posts of my setup shots, and they're really boring photos. Like they're literally, it's just the same photo booth. We have several min booths, but they look exactly the same to everybody, right? But just the fact that like people are seeing those images frequently, when they see a bad photo booth, now they know like, wow, that is not that photo booth, you know, like, and they'll message me like, we had the most horrendous photo booth, you know, at this party. And I just kept thinking like, wow, this is nothing like what I see Lap present. So details do matter, you guys. Like nobody's going to tell you to your face. Nobody's going to tell you, why does your photo booth look like that? Why are your wires like that? Nobody's going to tell you. Your planner, not going to tell you. But when it comes down to them needing a vendor for a specific event that's like, you know, high profile, if you're that provider that is not paying attention to those small details, they're just not going to use you for that event. They're not going to tell you that's the reason why.
No, I agree. And you mentioned the staff. Like I've had a lot of the same stuff with my staff. Like we also are very particular about our gaff, and you know, if our staff sends, like I'm sure most companies sends like their setup photos, and if the gaff isn't perfect, we will always make them regaff. You
Pull
know,
it up.
Yeah. And after they regaff a couple times, they'll start doing better. And I've seen exactly the same thing that you're talking about. The staff start seeing other companies that are like, oh my God, look at this DJ, or they'll be at their own events and see a photo booth and take pictures of the wires and send it to us, you know?
Yeah.
So it's important, like not only your own habits, but you've got to like encourage and enforce those habits on your staff. You've got to teach them those habits and keep reinforcing them and make sure that they're practicing those habits as well. You know, there's that old quote, I can't remember, I think it's Warren Buffett, I can't remember, but it's passed around the poker rooms a lot because it was specifically about poker. If you've been playing poker for an hour and a half, whatever it is, and you don't know who the sucker on the table is, then it's likely you.
What is this? Like the bad player? That's what,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you don't know who the bad player on the table is, then it's probably you. And it's kind of like what you were just saying, like your planners and people won't tell you that you're bad, but if you're not getting those things that like Lap mentioned, if your staff aren't saying, wow, look at these horrible setups, if your family's not saying, wow, look at this setup that's not nearly as good as yours, like you may be the one that they're taking pictures of. Like if you, so if you don't know who the bad people are, if you're not recognizing the bad setups, then you may be the bad setup. So you should evaluate that. Take some photos and look at it yourself from a constructive point of view.
Yeah. And I feel like it's really easy to brush it off like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, I don't want to take that extra effort. And from my own experience from when I was still new to this, I used to have that mentality like, oh, what's the big deal? It's not that big of a deal. It can translate into a lot of dollars for you. I mean, like it translates into having these clientele that you want versus having clientele that's like, you know, trying to get you to price match $25. It really is a huge, in terms of like in your affecting your profits, it is a big deal. And that's the reason why, like with gaff, like my staff, they'll tell me like, oh, like I put strips right here to kind of save on gas. I'm like, no, because gas is like $25. I know for people who are not charging a lot, $25 for gas is a lot. But if you just think about like if you improve on your overall presentation, you can charge a lot more so that $25 isn't breaking the bank for you. You know, like if you are shortcutting, gassing your entire cord down because you're worried about how expensive gas is, you really have to reevaluate like why you're pricing as low as you are. And maybe you're pricing low because you don't have the presentation because you're cheapening out on the gas. It's like a whole...
Yeah. So that really brings us to another shortcut. If your only tool in your bag is cutting prices, undercutting competitors, then again, that's just a huge shortcut of not looking at why you can't charge more. If the only way you can get a booking is saying that company's $500, I'll be $450, you need to reevaluate and decide like what shortcuts are you taking? How can you raise the value of what you offer to increase your prices instead of just competing only on prices? Start competing on value or presentation or output or whatever it is, a combination of all those things.
And you know what? I've had that direct conversation with my clients too. When I used to get people who would, hey, Lap, I saw this company, they're doing glam for XX dollars. Can you price match? I have that conversation like, hey, like that's a great price. If you guys love their glam and you love their price, book it. But we don't take shortcuts. We invest in da-da-da-da. And I'll list out, I am not shy about listing out everything that we do, that we invest into our company, into our people, into our equipment, into our backup equipment. I will go through a long conversation about that. And when they hear it, because it's easy to sit there and say, well, we invest in our company. Oh, we bring better service. We bring better glove. That doesn't, everybody is saying that to your clients. When you really have like true conversations with them, just think of it like having a conversation with your friend. Like, this is the reason why, or like a conversation with one of your staff. Cause I've had these conversations with staff that come on board. Like, why the heck do you charge this much Lap when someone on Craigslist, I keep referencing Craigslist. I'm sorry, you guys. When someone on Craigslist charges this much, why the heck do you charge this much? And have that conversation with your client like you would if it was your staff. This is the reason why we charge this much. Like we can, and I'm very upfront, we can definitely take these shortcuts to get to the price that you see on Craigslist. We can definitely do that. That's super easy for me to do. But the problem is you can't take those shortcuts and still be the company that we are. We are LX Picks because we don't take those shortcuts. Once you take those shortcuts, just like that pizza story that you had, once you take those shortcuts, every little step, you don't notice those little changes between those steps of those shortcuts. But at the end of the day, the final picture, it's not the same company. It's not the same product. And the reason why you're asking us to price match is because we are the company that we're at. So we can't price match.
We're the one that you want.
Realistically, we cannot. Yes. If you wanted that company, we would have to take the price that you want us to price match. We would have to take those shortcuts to get to that price, and we would be that company, and you would be calling a different company to price match, and when you put it in terms like that for your customer, it connects,
If you're shopping by price, I'll tell them if you're shopping by price, there's a lot of budget companies out there that you can choose between, and I always try to like throw that budget in there just so they realize that they're looking for a budget company. But say, if you're not shopping by price, if other things are important to you, maybe they should match that. Maybe they should ask those companies that they can match the value that we bring. Why are you asking us to come to match their price instead of asking them to match what we were bringing to the table? Is because that they're not able to. But
yes,
I guess other shortcuts. I made a quick list of several shortcuts that photo booth companies may fall under, and sometimes without noticing, sometimes they're doing it specifically to take a shortcut, and sometimes it's bad advice or a lack of advice. And it's a lot of this stuff we've covered in other shows as well. But contracts, you can always pay for a contract, but it's not going to be complete. If you do pay for a contract, please still, at least have it reviewed to make sure it makes sense for what you're trying to do. I realize when you start out, you can't pay these big attorney fees to write your own contract, but get a starting point and take it in and say, these are the things that are important to me, and have it touched up. Relying on social media instead of a website. I actually saw someone making an argument the other day that you don't need websites anymore. And that's just bizarre to me. I don't keep my website very up to date. I'm certainly guilty of letting it fall behind, but I can't imagine like hiring a company for anything that doesn't even have a website. Like I would feel like they are totally a fly by night company, regardless of how long their social media has been around. I
If
just
you
wouldn't
see
pick
my
any
face,
company.
if you see my face, the reason why I'm making this face is because my website I do not update, and I actually get a
But you
lot
have
more
one
leads
though.
through. Yes. So here's the thing. I don't necessarily need a website for finding customers or clients. A lot of people find me on social media, but when they find me on social media, they'll go to my website just to see that I'm legit. So even if you are finding clients on social media, even if most of your clients come from social media or referrals because of like vendors that you work with and them posting you and things like that, you still need a website just to like cement yourself in as like a legitimate company. They might not, I don't feel people even look over, because I don't have a lot of content on my website. I don't even feel like people look over the website as much as they do through my social media, but just it cements you in as like a legitimate company that is trustworthy. As long as you don't have like a super outdated website.
Yeah,
I've
the
seen
same
some people
goes.
with really outdated
Yeah, there was
websites.
one that was going around. I'm not going to call anyone out, but someone was posting their website, and felt like it was still like, oh man, like back, like
1990s,
what were those like geo
80s.
sites or something like that?
Oh,
Man, but anyways, in the same along the same lines is your email. Like there's always people that stand behind their myphotoboothcompany@gmail.com, and I like it's just so easy to get your own website and your own
it is,
email address. So like immediately,
but
if I'm dealing with anyone and their website is something at gmail.com and it's a business, right away, I just feel like they are less legitimate. And it's likely untrue. It may be untrue, but
that's my mindset too. But I can tell you, I don't want to put this out there, but I mean, I've seen some big companies that some not big, but like, successful companies that also have Gmail.
and that's fine.
But
It's like
that,
saying I'm a big company, I never wrote a business plan. And that's fine. You can still be successful without a business plan, but you're not successful
but
because you didn't.
it's,
Like you would likely be more successful if you did. And
it's just
certainly you don't
such a,
need a real email address to be
yeah,
successful, but like
but
there's no strong
you should,
argument for not having a real email address.
yeah, yeah,
It's still a shortcut.
yeah. I agree with you, because when I get like a Gmail or Yahoo, I'm always like, what the heck? Like I do have that thought. This is like outside the photo booth industry, just like vendors and, other companies that you work with. I do have that thought as well. So yeah, but I do know that there's some companies that just have done it.
Yeah. But like you admit, like you
I'm
get
not one of those
that thought.
companies. I have, yeah. But my email comes from my company. I like
And
to say.
another thing that you just brought up is, you brought up in the beginning of the episode, is equipment. Like, don't shortcut on equipment. Like, I realize there's cheap places to go, but I mean, talk to the community, because there's some really bad vendors out there. There's some that sell, like we have been through the ringer over the years with some people that just stole people's money, had products that just fell apart. Like don't take shortcuts. I think when Monica was on here, she said that was like the biggest thing she would change if she could start over was not trying to
Yeah.
shortcut on equipment, because,
Yeah.
it'll hurt you in the long run.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, when you see these photos of equipment, they kind of all look the same. We brought this up before, like going to PBX, you can actually like see and feel the product, and you can see like the manufacturer quality. But a lot of us, like when I started, I didn't have the luxury of going to PBX to actually see a photo. I just bought whatever I found online. And when you say go through the ringer, sometimes it's not even going through the ringer. Sometimes it's like minor stuff. Sometimes like there's been a couple. When I was on a super budget, when I was charging $125 per rental 14 years ago, DIY guys, please don't price that. But I got a $600 photo booth shell, which was the best that I could get at that time. And this thing, it looked okay. It was a manufactured booth. It was an upgrade from like all my DIY builds or whatever. But I would set up and my photos would be, the camera was a little bit just slightly off center. So I always had to stuff the bottom leg to like level it, which is not a big deal until you're doing like a step and repeat. And then it's a big deal. The other thing, like it was chipping paint. So like when I would set up, it would cut me because the paint, it was spray painted instead of, what is it? Powder coated? Is that powder coated? It was spray painted. Yeah, it's spray painted. So after like, I want to say like 3 months, the spray paint started chipping off. So every time I set it up, it was cutting my fingers. Small things like that when you're buying, it seems like a small thing and it becomes a major thing as you're running events.
Yeah, the things add up.
Yeah.
Trying to think
It's
of
not
what
money,
other
time, and convenience.
Strobes, flashes. That was one of the biggest things. Like I could not justify spending the money on a Digibee or a real flash when I started, and I was just getting newer flashes, which a lot of them are like we do use newer equipment a lot. But again, like we've had some Digibees break, and like the warranties are so good, like they're just so fast. We send them in, they send them back, they're fixed. There's just so much to be said for quality equipment with strong customer service.
Yeah, but I'm having a thing with DGBs right now. I think alien bees are just more reliable. They're just so big and bulky. Like
So what's your
like
issue?
the LED. I mean, like I keep having to send them back. Like when they first released DigiBees, I had purchased, I think 2, and both of them I had to send back within like the first like 6 months. They're warranty guys for 2 years. But I came on board with DigiBees that first release when they first brought them out because I love the LED. The LED light's super bright for like modeling.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Use too much.
Plus, I like having the digital control instead of the analog. Like turning that dial to get your flash just doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather just
the digital is nice because then you can really tweak your lighting. But I've had to send back, gosh, I think I have like 12, 15 Digibees, and I have sent a lot back. I have probably done like 3 rounds of like
So
repairs.
What are you sending them back for? What kind of issues are you seeing?
Gosh, I don't know. Just
a variety, not the same thing.
A variety of things. Like, and I put a post on the network, and apparently it's a thing for Digibees, whereas alien bees have been like rock solid for a lot of people. I have alien bee 1600s, and they have never really given me any sort of issues. Like I haven't had to send any back. So I don't know. I'm kind of exploring like different.
But at the end of the day, that's you're not taking shortcuts. You're exploring. You're trying products, and you're using solid people with good reputations and good customer support and warranties and whatnot. And
alien bees are great. They're just big. They're just like a Digibee is like that small, so it packs very compact. And we always bring backup, so we always bring 2. Whereas an alien bee is like twice the size. So when you double it up, you're talking about 4 times the amount of space. But yeah, we do invest in our equipment, backup equipment.
Mm-hmm. That's another place, a good shortcut place is not having proper backup equipment and wires and things like that.
Yeah. Get the same exact equipment. So if you have a DMP 620, get your backup to be a DMP 620. Because in my early years, I tried to shortcut it by having like one nice printer and then a cheapy backup. But then you end up screwing yourself when you actually need to pull that back up and you realize, dang, I didn't pack the media for that printer. Because that's happened a couple times to me. It's just easier just to have everything in your fleet exactly the same so you can pull back up and you don't have to think twice about it.
And auditing equipment, and I just guilty of a shortcut that was, I guess not a disaster because we plan well, but so I just did an event in Atlanta, and we travel fairly often for events, and we don't ever like pull the kiosk out when we get there and make sure it's still functioning because we've done enough that we are confident in the transport of the equipment. So got to Atlanta and the equipment did operate just fine. And I packed it back away, zip tied it, closed it, sent it back. But when I got back, we didn't open it up. We didn't investigate the equipment. We just inventoried it, and it went out a couple of days later. And the person that went and set it up reached out to our tech support with these photos that are just like, so you're familiar with the Min booth. Anyone else that's familiar with the Min booth, I'll try to explain. So the tray that like holds the iPad or the Microsoft Surface Pro, whatever you're using, has like this lip on it, and there's some bolts on the bottom, and the lip goes in front of those bolts, and then it goes forward, and
so
you
they're
screw
like anchors. There's like anchors.
Yeah. So they're like anchors, and then you screw the top in, but the bottom is just secured because it's anchored in front of these bolts.
Yeah, like that. Yes.
So somehow during the vibration of the flight or whatnot, somehow all of the top
No.
bolts, nuts like vibrated loose and they all came off. And so during the
What?
shifting, the tray came out from those anchors. So it was just completely floating. And when he opened it up, it was obviously a complete mess with that coming out undone. It's like pushing cords and things are unplugged. He doesn't know where anything goes. So we didn't even try to tech support. I was just like, set everything else up. I'm on my way. I'll be up there. And, you know, I brought another booth with me just in case, but I was confident that I could get that one set up. And we were rushed, obviously, so I couldn't tell that those anchors weren't that it wasn't in front of those anchors. I just pushed it forward, placed as well as I could, and screwed the top ones back in. But the bottom was still loose when you pressed on it and stuff. So I fortunately we still have props. We got some sunglasses and we broke them to wedge the screen so that it would stay forward. But then we've got the back screen. So we set up and we run a Mac inside it. So the back screen can also run SnapPic. So on the front, we still used it as a photo booth, but we just had people enter their phone numbers and we used the back as a sharing station. So we set up to do auto print instead of choosing to print, and then told people just go around to the back to share it to your social media that way. The front was pretty secure, but we just wanted to limit the number of times people touched it because we didn't want to knock it loose. I don't think it would have knocked loose because we had it really tight, but I just didn't want to take that chance. And then when we got it back, of course, we dissected it and saw that those weren't anchored correctly. And that was completely our fault. We should have, you know, after transferring.
You're not worried about that when you're trying to, when you're on site, you're just trying to get it going. You're not.
So
that happens. Do you since we're talking about this, I know this is off topic, you guys, but do you like having the back screen as a sharing station? I know that's so convenient, but I try to minimize having people camp out around the photo booth because I feel like it just crowds.
So we typically do that. We usually just run the SnapPic slideshow on the back, and that's good enough, or else we'll just have an image of the client's logo if it's a marketing event or something. So we don't very often. If they ask for a sharing station, then I'd rather it be on there than having a sharing station set up somewhere. It's very convenient with SnapPic because you can't print AI on SnapPic directly. It just has to be sent, and that has to be sent to a sharing station. So it's nice because they can almost immediately print it. And you could even set your sharing station up to auto print so they could take the photo and you could just say, it's going to print in, maybe a minute or something. They don't ever have to set the command. They don't have to go and choose their photo and tell it to print. But we could just shut our sharing station up to print automatically each time. So that's very convenient. And you could even run your sharing, if you want to do that with AI and have your AI automatically print, you can set up your sharing station back there, set your sharing station to automatically print to the printer, and then minimize it and turn the slideshow on, and no one even knows the sharing station is operational at that point.
Yeah, I think that's how I've done AI printing. But I try to avoid people around the booth. So I know that's an option. I do that when we need a sharing station that's backup. But I usually just like to have it as just their brand back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really do like the screen back there for the slideshow or for the brand. But I agree. When people ask for a sharing station, I'm just like, are you 19 or 2020 or 16 photo booth? Sharing station, people are going to punch their phone number and it's going to take 2 seconds. It's going to take longer for them to go to a sharing station. I understand you want that throughput, but so we don't do very many sharing stations, but when somebody asks for it, I guess
I
there's
do them for white label
applications that we do. If we have a 360 in an enclosure, we want to get people out of that enclosure ASAP. So we'll send them over to a sharing station or light painting. Yeah, that's actually what I was doing in Atlanta. This whole story is tied to light painting.
Light painting. I love light painting.
Yeah, and shout out to Monica Gunderlock in Atlanta. She came and helped us with the light painting. Supplied some awesome staff to run around with roamers while we were doing that. So.
I love our community.
Yes. Yeah, awesome.
What other shortcuts?
What other shortcuts are people taking that they should avoid?
Not using pillowcase backdrops, the people who are using the tripod backdrop stands and
trip hazards, man. Get away from trip hazards.
Not even just trip hazards, but just those backdrops are horrendous because then you gotta iron them. You're saving money, I guess. I'm not sure how much you're saving. You're probably not saving much, but you factor in the amount of time that you're investing having to iron those things, forget about it. Just
there's some pretty cheap stuff on Amazon. So they are saving money, but But really, just like start with
Well, you
one
save money, but
backdrop
you're
stand and get like the white front and white back like lap does, and get like a silver front, like silver, what's it called, like silver sequin pattern and a gold sequin pattern on the other side. So you can
or use
start with just
AI.
two.
Or
Yeah,
use the
yeah.
AI background, then you have unlimited. Like, just the backdrop stand, not investing in that. It's just like you upgrade your setup so much having a nice backdrop stand versus like the trip hazard is one thing, but just like your presentation with those outdated tripod stands is just, I don't know. Consider upgrading it if you haven't, guys, because it's a game changer in terms of like your convenience, portability. You don't worry about anybody hurting themselves, although people still step on these. They still find a way to like step on these pillowcase backdrop stands, but it's not the same tripping hazard as like a tripod setup.
Yeah, when you start using a lot of white backdrops, you really notice like all the footprints and heel prints on the bottom. And I'm like, what are people doing? Why are there so many
You say
footprints
that,
the bottom foot
you know,
of the backdrop?
you know what's funny, Jason, is I always think that, and then when I'm actually like using one of my photo booths at an event, I find myself doing exactly what guests are doing.
Really?
Like I keep backing up, and I'm like, oh gosh, I stepped on the backdrop. So I think it's funny because I should know better, and I'm doing the same thing.
Well, I guess before we wrap, I want to hit on positive, I guess not so much positive shortcuts, but make sure we make a clear distinction between shortcuts and efficiency. Like taking shortcuts to avoid doing things right is one thing, but efficiency and taking shortcuts to save time is different. Like, was it this episode or the last one we recorded to today that you were talking about Cherie's? I think it was the last one. So we use Cherie's photo booth talk for photo strip templates. Like, that's a great resource. Just using something like that where people can go and choose a pre-designed template instead of like creating custom templates every single time. And if you're creating custom templates every single time, like lean into that, because not many photo booth companies do that. So, make sure you're using that as a selling point. And automation, like our forms go out automatically on certain days, and our reminders go out on certain days, and our invoices go out on certain days. Most CRMs, Boothbook, CheckCherry, I use 17 Hats, Lap uses Tave, have those automations built in. Like, obviously those shortcuts are essential to your well-being and keeping things on schedule and being able to carry all the hats, wear all the hats that you have to wear. One thing that we actually don't do, but Lap keeps mentioning, is like creating a like quick go booths, one that's like always ready to go right away for that last minute booking. We're able to put together a booking pretty quick, but it would be wise for us to have like especially with as easy as SnapPick is, like we could pick something up and go and just load the event on site, something like that.
Yeah. Breeze is like that too. You just slide for Breeze. Since we mostly do 4x6 prints, if we have to slide in an overlay, it's all done because we sync it with Dropbox. So we just slide the file right into the way Breeze works. If you don't use it, guys, it's like a folder. And if you need to program the overlay, this is Breeze Windows. There's a Breeze iPad too, and it works the same. You just slide your file name in there. As long as it's correct file title, it just applies that overlay. So it's really easy for us to remote program a lot of the booths that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, anything that you can do remotely is solid. Outsourcing, like outsource things that you can't do. Like if you want to do custom graphics, but you're not graphically inclined, call Clay up. Get him to do your graphics for you. If you are a younger company and you can't have your in-house tech support, is his name Bert? Bert?
Bert?
Yeah, Bert.
Gregory Bert?
Gregory Bert. There we go. I had his last name.
Photo booth support.
Yeah, Photo Booth Support. Use them. We actually use them as well. So we have our own in-house and we use Photo Booth Support just to cover all our bases. But I wish that I started using Photo Booth Support much earlier. A very solid company. And we need to have him come on and talk about some like troubleshooting and stuff.
We do. I used to be part of
great.
their team. I used to be part of the Photo Booth Support team. Helping with Breeze.
Yeah. That's weird because you're horrible at Breeze. I don't.
What are you talking about?
I'm kidding, because you're amazing. You're
We're like, what? For anybody that doesn't know,
know.
Like, I primarily use Breeze, you guys. Like, I'm pretty proficient in it.
Yeah. So if you need tech support for Breeze, don't call App.
Call Gregory Burt at Photo Booth Support.
And he'll call App. So yeah, outsourcing is good. I mean, obviously it's harder when you're a younger company and can't afford those things, but I
But you
mean,
know
where
what?
you can,
You can't say it like that, Jason, because I feel like Gregory's service. What is it? It's very affordable, but like if you think about the cost that you're putting out, even as a smaller company, you guys, if you think about the small monthly fee that he charges, all it takes is for you to fail one event and you already are paying way more than you are for just his subscription. If that kind of puts things in perspective for you, like
and
saving one event
I'm pretty
is
sure you
already
don't
going to be
have to
worthwhile.
subscribe. Like it's going to be considerably more expensive if you're not a paid member. But if you call and you're
Yeah.
like, hey, we're not a member,
Yes.
but we're in a bind, he'll help you. It'll cost
Yes.
you more.
Yes.
But again, it'll be less than refunding your client. Like we're not
Yes.
talking about like
So,
hundreds of dollars or anything.
right. So yes, if you aren't already a member and you're in a bind and you need some support, call Photo Booth support. He's going to help you. And like I said, I used to be on the team, so I know this as a fact that he will walk you through. He'll tech support your event and he'll charge you a fee and then he'll give you an option to like sign on board. Most people that have called that one time, they saw value in that one time
Yeah,
that they
they'll
were
sign
saved.
on.
Most people will sign on. So I do my own tech support because I'm very proficient with like, systems and things like that. I'm more tech savvy than most people, I think. But if you're not that tech savvy and you don't know how to navigate software and hardware as well, because he tech supports both, it is so worthwhile. Even if you're a small company, because you guys, and the reason why I say is because his fee is so small compared to how much you will lose out if you have a failed event because you don't have tech support, because you don't have the ability to tech support your own event. Sometimes it's something so small like changing out a printer cable. And even though for me, that makes sense when someone calls me like, oh, my printer doesn't work, change out your printer tape, change out your printer cable, change out your power cord, move your USB. That stuff makes sense to me. But if you're not tech savvy, you might not know that. And that quick fix will save you refunding however much you charge, $600, $1,200, however much you charge your client. And that one event that you save is going to be a lot more money than what he charges you. So
Yeah,
even if you're a small company, consider it.
The subject of tech support, and if we'll get him on and I'll cover this a little bit more on a dedicated tech support episode, but I've been building out a ChatGPT support system and we've been like beta testing it. Like we don't yet let our hosts use it yet, but when our hosts call us for support, our support team has to use that first just to beta test it and see if it's giving the right responses. And we've been fine tuning it and it's like 95% ready. Like it's so solid. Like
Wow.
Been taking a lot of building.
That's in my way. I can stress test it for you.
I'll send you a link and I'll get more into how I did it on the tech support thing. Cause it is an enormous amount of work, but it's going to be a lifesaver when we start deploying it to our hosts and on-site people. Let's see. What other good shortcuts of efficiency do I have listed here? Outsourcing. So this is something that I see. I guess I take this shortcut as well. A lot of people say they've got like 2 different softwares installed with the events running on both in case the software doesn't work. Like for example, in case their darkroom crashes, they have the same setups on Breeze ready to go. Honestly, I think a lot of people are just being distruthful or untruthful. I was one
of those people, Jason.
That's okay. And I think some of them do that, but I don't believe as many people that say they do actually have 2 softwares with events set up on both of those softwares every time they go out. And I'll tell you that we do not. We have Darkroom on our kiosk. We have other software that we could create the event, but we've never had to do that. So creating that duplicate for that 1 out of 3,000 events just isn't efficient to me, especially when barring like also, I guess if there wasn't internet at that event and we weren't able to remote in, but I mean, that's just a whole nother like out of 3,000 events. And that one that happens also doesn't have internet. I mean, we can recreate an event in, 5 minutes or something. So like just to have that on every single kiosk just doesn't make sense to me.
So I don't do that now, but when I was very new and I didn't have 3,000 events when I was very new. So it was very easy for me to duplicate. And then also when I was new, I was still trying to I was still trying to navigate my way through testing all the different software. So some software is more solid than others. So when I was new, I was just trying to buy the cheapest software or the easiest to
But there
program.
may be
And,
more issues there. That's another shortcut you were taking.
yes, yes, absolutely. And sometimes it's not even like from my vague memory, like some of the software that I was testing out in my early years, it wasn't necessarily that they were cheaper either. They were just easier to program. Like for anybody that has explored Breeze, for me, Breeze is super easy now. But if you're new to Breeze, a lot of people have told me it's very difficult to like grasp the learning curve of it. And there's some software that you buy and you right away can just get it up and running in like 15 minutes. So it was a shortcut on time versus money for me. But through the years of me using like different software, I realized like the constant updates and stuff created so many issues for me that I finally found the software that I prefer, which is Breeze. And, you know, it is a shortcut early on my years, but I used to load 2 events on 2 different software just because I didn't know if one would fail or not.
Yeah, and when you're
But
you're
I was
younger and
doing
you're
like
more
20
nervous,
events.
then
Yeah.
that makes sense. But now that
Yeah.
I've been in this for so many
Yeah.
years and we've done so many events, and I can just see that
You don't
software
need to
is
if
reliable.
you're,
Like the software will
yes,
have issues, but issues that we can work through. Like we've had license issues with Darkroom, and we've had to pay for new
yeah,
licenses and get refund after the weekend. And there's
yeah,
been things, but we've always been able to troubleshoot and work through it either through our set by ourselves or using uh, the photo booth support or whatever. But we've always been able to get the software running. And if we couldn't, there we do have other software installed. I
yes,
have Breeze, but I'm not familiar enough with it that I would just go to that. I'm familiar enough with LA Photo Party that I would create an event in that really quick and get it going. And we would make it through. It would take 20 minutes. And,
I want to,
fortunately, we're always there early enough that I don't think we would ever start late. I can't imagine a software crashing mid-event. Like that's always like when you're starting up and it's like, hey, there's a license issue,
yeah,
or
during
you start
setup.
the application and it just crashes right away and won't start. That's always during setup. So
Yeah. But I feel like I feel like through the years, your experience is the reason why you're able to overcome a lot of these issues. Because when I was new,
definitely.
when software would go bad, it's just a matter of like a lot of things you can sort through once you understand your software, you understand the quirks and how to troubleshoot. But when you're new and you're still trying to learn software, things that you don't know, like reinstalling software, I didn't know that when I first started, that would have been a lot easier fix than like loading 2 different software, sometimes like
Yeah, uninstalling and
rebooting your
reinstalling it.
PC. Yeah. Small fixes that you learn through the years, like rebooting your PC will fix a lot of the issues. I did not know this when I first started. I think experience plays a big role into like me not having to, and besides the volume, like the experience with troubleshooting and tech support and like running through so many events, what the quick fix is for a lot of these things. I don't really need to have a second software installed and a second event in that software. Although I do use a lot of software, not because of backup, but just different software
just to make
have
sure you can deliver what your client's
limitations.
looking for.
Yes, yes. Specific projects that require like specific workflows or event delivery. Some software is going to process that a lot more efficient than others. So I use LA Photo Party, SnapPick, Breeze, Darkroom.
I really need to go to BoothCon. I hear people talking about it, but I haven't seen any ads for it, so I don't know when it is, how much it is. But I really need to stop procrastinating on.
You keep saying you're going to
Breeze.
get on Breeze, and you should.
That's why I need to go to the BoothCon because then I'm dedicated. I've paid. I'm going to be there, and it'll be like forcing me into it. But we'll see.
It just takes when a client needs a specific project, and you're gonna be forced to do it, and you will. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, and I've just we had Catalina on here recently, and hopefully anyone see, when is this episode going to be? May, so Photo Booth Expo will have been long behind, but hopefully people went and checked her stuff out. But I recently saw a post of hers. I had looked at her courses before, and I, total transparent, had not purchased any. So I've had good feedback, but I haven't tried any. But I just saw that she has like a subscription base where you can get like access to not her like do everything courses, but like technical courses for like 360 and DSLR and roaming and things like that. And I haven't signed up
That's
yet.
new.
I'm gonna wait for PBX to see if there's any discounts on signing up, because it's, a week away or whatever. But we're definitely signing up.
Paging Catalina.
Yes. And I know that she's really big on Breeze. So I think that will be where I get pushed over. I think she's going to push me into it. So.
I'm pushing you into I can't think of anybody as big of an advocate for Breeze as me.
Because although you're advocating, I'm going to be watching like videos and having my staff watch these videos. And if those videos are using Breeze, like it's one thing to be like, hey guys, Lap really says to use Breeze, as opposed to watch this video where they're using Breeze.
We can't do this unless we use Breeze. Yeah.
So when I finally commit, I'll make sure that they know that Catalina was the one that pushed me over and not you. Okay, everyone knows that you're an advocate, and certainly has been in the forefront of my mind only because of our conversations here.
Sweaty.
So, anyways, I think that wraps it up. Do you have anything else?
No.
I mean, I really thought Shortcuts was going to be like a 15-minute weird episode. I was like, should this just be one of the on the rapid fires? But here we are at an hour. We keep doing that.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of sidebarred to like tech support and all kinds of different things.
It's all related.
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us, and
thanks everybody.
Talk to you next week.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.